Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Napasa Pradhan, and we're very excited to have you join us wherever you've joined us from today, whether it is on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll tell you about today's topic and also our guest. But before that, I have this very important disclaimer. And that is by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. Um, Once again, I welcome you to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And today's topic is incredibly timely and relevant. It is H-1B Second Lottery 2025. Yes, that's right. And we're going to discuss about the latest updates and what does it really mean for applicants out there? What are the steps? And everything possible about it with our guest for today is yes. And to help us navigate this topic for today, we are going to have a distinguished guest with us today, none other than Justin Rivera, joining us for the first time, who is an immigration attorney who has dedicated his career to business immigration. Yes, Mr. Rivera graduated from South Texas College of Law in 2017. And it's very nice to have you with us today. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'd love to get to know a little bit more about you since you're here for the first time with us. Tell us a little more about yourself, please.
Yeah, sure thing. So I am located in Houston, Texas. As you noted before, I have been practicing business immigration since 2017, back when I passed the bar. I originally worked at a kind of firm here in Houston for about 5
Mhm.
years, your L's, T3s, O1s, those kinds of visas, with a lot of other stuff sprinkled in. I worked
Mhm.
primarily with smaller to mid-sized companies. Generally, a lot of the companies were consulting company types.
Mhm.
So I did that, and then a few years ago, I moved to another firm, a little bit larger
Mhm.
sized firm, where I was going to be working with bigger clients. So my clients were more multinational. The kind of clients that you probably see advertisements for, or they own the
Mhm.
companies you see advertisements for. And so while working with those companies, I expanded my practice knowledge pretty significantly. Got to do a lot
Mhm.
more work on L1s, EB1Cs, and things of that nature. So all in all, I've been practicing for about 7 years, going on 8. And I very recently joined Wasden Law. I actually started in July, which was a very
Oh.
inopportune time to join because it was right when a hurricane hit Houston. But
Oh.
I'm doing completely fine. We're all doing great, and we're up and running. So I'm very excited for the opportunity here today and to be working with somebody as esteemed as Jonathan Waston.
Me too. Thank you so much for the real warm introduction of yourself and absolutely Wasden Law. I mean, you recently joined them, and it's nothing better to get to have you here with us and to discuss this very relevant topic and a very timely topic. So, what do you have to
Mm.
say on this latest announcement? I mean, the selections from H-1B second lottery round are out, and employers are being notified today, right, through the My USCIS portal. That's the latest update I have. So, let's get to it. What can folks out there expect from our webinar today?
Oh man, sorry, we might have a bit of a connectivity issue. There we
Can you hear me
go.
now?
Okay,
I hope
sorry.
so.
I think we have a Yes, I can hear you now. From my understanding, you were kind of just talking about what's going on with the second lottery. So yeah, I mean, obviously the
Right.
second lottery is a windfall for people who weren't selected the first time. There's no guarantee to a second lottery, so obviously this is great for a lot of people that registered and thought that they were not going to be selected. Now, the kind of caveat to that, which I'm sure some people listening are for the regular cap only. So If you had applied previously in the advanced as well as the regular cap, you were given a bit of an advantage. You kind of get two bites at the apple. That's not the case this time. For this time, you're only going to see selections made in the regular cap. And as was noted, there have been selections beginning to come in. So how does that process sort of work? The way that works is the petition is going to their My USCIS account. So they're going to be updated to select it. And in that process, they're going to be able to access that selection notice, which is going to give them information such as how long do they have to file, who's the individual selected, and where the filing is going to be, because it's not all typically going to be done at the same service center. So my understanding, now I haven't seen a selection notice myself, but my understanding from the information coming in is that the selection notices coming in so far show a period of, I believe, 8/8, so August 8th to November either 7th or 8th. So you're looking at the same sort of 90-day window that was permitted in the initial H-1B lottery. So what that means is you have that timeline to submit your petition to USCIS and have it accepted. And so really for everyone in terms of looking for, when will I know when my case is selected? USCIS is going to alert us when they have completed this process of updating the employers. So as of now, there is no firm deadline of by this date, you'll be notified. So we're going to hold anything like the first lottery initially, and then they're going to go in over the notice saying that they've concluded the process. So I would definitely say if you weren't selected or you haven't been updated today, don't freak out. You still likely have a couple more days where they're coming in, at least as long as they operate in the same way they did during.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much. Well, that was a brief introduction to what we are going to probably touch on everything today, especially on the second lottery for the H-1B cap, fiscal year 2025, friends. And wherever you're watching us from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, feel free to drop your questions or queries that you have any in the comments, and we'll be very happy to take them. Also, don't forget to check out and follow Walsden Immigration Litigation LinkedIn page for immigration updates. Thank you so much for that quick summary, Justin. And this brings me to also greet all you folks. Thank you so much for your questions. I can already see some of your comments dropping in. So, hi, folks. Just stay with us. We will take up your questions. Nageswar, Sivangani, someone on LinkedIn. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thank you for joining us. Well, Justin, my question to you, my first question would be, what are the key differences between the first and the second H-1B lotteries?
So obviously the filing windows are going to be different. That initial filing window, I believe, was 4/1 to, I think, the end of June, so 6/30. But what that basically means is when your cases are being adjudicated in that window or being submitted, you're going to likely have your cases approved before 10/1. So 10/1 is a very important date for 1B cap, and that is because that is the first date you can actually be on your H-1B. So what that means is if you're filing a change of status, which means you are already in the United States and you're in a non-immigrant status and you're moving to H-1B status, the first date you can actually change over as 10/1. Now, with the second up, as I noted with that filing window actually goes over that 10/1 date. Meaning that people who file after that timeline and are changing status are likely going to, when they have their case approved, change status immediately upon the date that the case is approved. So that's pretty advantageous for people that are changing status because you don't have to worry about issues related to cap gap or issues of maintaining employment when your employment authorization has ceased. You should be able to very quickly change status over to H-1B if you're filing after that 10/1 date. Now, an important thing to remember is you don't have to file before 10/1. You just have to file within the permissible window that has been provided in the selection notice. So I know that there can be some confusion about people thinking, oh, I have to get my petition in before that 10/1 date. That's not the case. You can file after that date. So while I do think it's great to try and file your case as quickly as possible because you want to get that approval notice, I would say to also think about making sure that you present the strongest petition that you can when you're filing.
And thank you so much, Justin, for taking that up. And absolutely, it's good to know the differences. And folks, feel free to keep commenting. I think we should take the next question for now. And that is, if you could just tell us what prompted USCIS to conduct a second lottery for the fiscal year 2025 H-1B visa applications.
Sure. So as USCIS noted when they submitted the notification that they were going to be conducting, it appears that there is an selected, filed, and approved petitions regularly. Now, USCIS has two caps. They have the advanced degree and the regular degree.
So sorry,
that
Justin, like if you could just repeat that part. There was like an internet lag and we missed it. If you could just repeat the, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So lottery was going to be occurring, they expected there was an insufficient number of selected, filled, and eventually approved cases for the regular cap. So realizing that they had not met the need that was there for the amount of openings that for the regular cap, they conducted a second lottery. Now, they appear to have met that threshold for the advanced degree. So again, as I stated at the beginning of our conversation, this is just for that, which means no advantage in addition filing with a master's degree versus just a bachelor's degree. Everyone's going in the exact same pool of selections. Now, kind of zooming out as to why they had to do this, why were there not enough people selected in the regular degree cap? That's speculative.
Right.
You could argue possibly slowing economy, particularly in the tech department, leading to less people filing. But again, that's speculative in nature, but that would be my guess. But as a result, you see a benefit to people that were not selected previously in the lottery, having a kind of second bite at the apple.
Right. Absolutely. So, folks, you are definitely lucky to have the second chance, especially folks out there who couldn't make it to the first lottery. This is another hope. And let's just stay hopeful and pray for the best to happen. And yeah, moving on now. Thank you so much for your questions. And I'm sure like there is a little lag here and there, but I hope that you are able to figure out. And if not, please ask again if you want to, folks. But I think we should quickly take up one question from the audience now, if that is fine. Divya is asking on YouTube. Is there a specific time or deadline when applicants are notified about H-1B visa selection?
Is there a specific deadline when they've, okay. So yeah, kind of, I think we had touched a little bit on this before, but as of now, USCIS has not stated when there would be a deadline for them to have completed the second lottery process. So as of now, there is nothing definitive, okay? Now, if we're looking at the previous lottery that was run earlier this year and how that lottery was conducted and comparing it now, then you could anticipate that selections would begin coming out Thursday, Friday, run over the weekend, and likely you're probably going to see them come out with something early next week saying that they have finalized the selections and updated the employers that have selected individuals. Now that is a speculation because we do have to wait for USCIS to make that statement. But again, playing, kind of crystal ball, looking in, gazing in, saying what's likely to happen, they're probably going to follow the same path they did for the first lottery, which means you're probably looking at next week receiving a notification. It wouldn't really make sense for them to drag it out much longer than that. And the reason that it notices to file is 8/8. If we're saying that the first day you 8, it's very likely that they will have concluded the selection by that period. And again, just to specify, you as a beneficiary, you're not the individual being notified. The petitioner is going to be notified because they're the person who actually handled the registration process. So it's incumbent on the petitioner themselves, their attorney, if needed, to actually go through with updating you about where they are in the process and whether or not your case was selected.
Very well put, absolutely. And we have to remember this lottery this time was a beneficiary-centric lottery, so you definitely have to go talk to your employers and see and ask for the latest update on your applications. Thank you, Divya, for your question. And we are sure going to take up all your others as well. But for now, I think let's take up one of ours. And I got this next question for you, Justin. Given that the initial lottery did not fill all available spots, what does this mean for applicants who were not selected previously? I mean, all included,
So
whether it was
basically,
masters.
what this means. Oh, yeah. So as we've highlighted, what this does mean is that everyone in the remaining pool has an opportunity to be selected. So if your case was not selected the first time around, you are definitely in the running to be selected. Now, unfortunately, as we've touched on a little bit, there is no advantage to having that master's degree. Traditionally, you get an extra to an extent when you're filing in the lottery, when you have that advanced degree. For this circumstance, that is not the case. Everyone is going to be at an equal level playing field. So regardless of what degree you have, as long as you had that necessary required bachelor's degree to qualify for the pro-offered position, you are going to have an opportunity to be selected in this lottery. So I guess you could argue from the other end, it does level the playing field for you if you didn't apply with that master's degree.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we'll take up questions from the audience since there are a lot of questions, and I think we should just jump into them for now. Oh, I'm so sorry about the connection.
Okay.
I just saw Akshay also saying very bad reception. Really, very sorry, but I think it's something to do with our network. It's out of our hands. Totally involuntary, but we're trying our best. If you cannot maybe figure out what we're saying, you could probably ask again. But it'll be our pleasure to repeat. Not to worry about that. All right. Thank you for the
No
wonderful
problem if we
session.
need to
Thank you.
repeat.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Thank you for being patient, Justin, and folks out there as well. Let's take up a question now. This is my ME jobs. I have two questions. Number one is, will they add MS students to regular cap? And question number two, they are doing a second lottery since they have not received enough. I guess regular people are from India. Will employers file?
Okay. Well, I can tackle that as best I can. So for question one, will they add MS students to regular cap? Yes. Like we noted a second ago, which maybe you guys couldn't hear me. Everyone is included in this round. Everyone is included, regardless of which you filed in. If you filed with an advanced degree, or if you just have a regular bachelor's cap, everyone is going to be loaded into the same grouping for selection. You are not invalidated from this lottery just because you applied with a master's degree. So yes, everybody's on an equal playing field. Everyone has the same opportunity. The second question, I'm not really certain about, to be honest. I can't tell you whether or not the majority of the people in the remaining lottery are from India or not,
Or not?
and will
Yes.
employers file the specific issue for the employer themselves. I will say, historically, having gone through periods where there is a second lottery,
Okay.
you can see issues with employers where they no longer have the work available because that person wasn't selected. Maybe they moved on to another candidate that could fill the position or something of that
Mhm.
nature. Now, circumstance, it's absolutely unfortunate because you'll get selected. The employer may notify you that they're selected, but they're going to tell you, hey, we're not filing. That's entirely possible. In that event, there's not really much that can be done. The simple fact of the matter is they're not going to move forward with your petition. And that's tough. It's a difficult situation to deal with because it is a lottery, and the probability of being selected again, I'm not sure is very high, but it can happen.
Mhm.
Now, the flip of that, you definitely have employers who are going to get notified, who are going to say, "Hey, I've still got the work for this guy, or girl. I'm ready to move forward, and I'm definitely ready to file." So, of course, in that
Mhm.
circumstance, your employer is going to be good to go. Looking at it right now, we're still ahead of that 10-1 date, right? So that October 1st date, which is where you're eligible to begin working on H-1B in the first place. So
Right.
reasonably, employer registered for you in April with the understanding that you needed to begin employment in H-1B status on October 1st. It would make sense that they would still have that work available. Now, that being said, forecasts economically in April probably look different than what they look like now. So that can play a role in an employer's analysis. But generally speaking, it would make sense that an employer who receives a notification now that they are eligible to file an H-1B likely available because they tend to have it available in the first place. I do employers coming forth that are going to be, ready to file. Hopefully, the people who are not filing are outliers, and they're in the minority.
Mhm.
But I can definitely and unfortunately tell you that is not a completely uncommon situation where you have someone selected in the second round of the lottery and the employer's just moved on. And it's unfortunate, and there's not really much you can do about it. But hope that if you are selected, your employer still has that position ready and available for you.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much, Justin, for making that very clear. And I'm sure, I mean, folks out there who made it to this lottery and who were not selected in the first round, they're all very anxious at the moment. But I think, Justin, since you're always dealing with immigration, maybe you could give out some hope if they don't make it to the second round of lottery also. What options do people out there have? Just briefly.
Well, that's always contingent on the factors of what's your current non-immigrant status, if you're in the U.S. or if you've actually applied and you're abroad. If you're in the United States and you are not selected in the second round of the lottery, hopefully you're in an advantageous situation. What that would mean is maybe you're on your first year of OPT, or you've just started what's called STEM OPT, and then you have an opportunity to continue working with the employer and build that relationship and hopefully get them to sponsor you next year. Not everyone is in that situation, and then what kind of happens is you're looking at what can you do to extend your work authorization to stay in the United States, or could you consider moving to another non-immigrant status, maybe an H-4 that doesn't have work authorization but is still in the U.S. That's a very case by case specific situation. That's a very case by case specific situation that I think would require more detailed analysis based on which individual we were speaking to. So really, I
Sure.
would just say, I would hope that you have more time left to continue working. If you don't, then I would probably recommend you speak with an immigration attorney about what your options are for potential, or maybe continuing. If you want to
Yes.
consider that option, maybe there's an opportunity for you to go to a different university and acquire a new degree. That's all fact
Yes.
intensive and would require a little bit more detail. For people outside the United States, unfortunately, if that's the situation you're in, you're probably kind of stuck. Just wait until the lottery next year. And I know that that's unfortunate, but that's kind of the only situation you got right now. So outside of that, like I need to talk to an immigration attorney.
For sure, for sure. Very well put. And absolutely, since every case is different, only an immigration attorney can guide you on the right path. So feel free to also
Mm.
contact Justin. His information is scrolling down on the screen, friends. So call him on the number 844 592-7336. That is his phone number where you can get in touch with him. And Justin is from Wasden Immigration Litigation. You can also email him support@wasden.law, and definitely go visit wasden.law to get to know more about Wasden Law, and also Justin Rivera joining us today for the first time. Thank you so much, Justin. We will definitely speak more, but it's time for a short break now. So, folks out there, don't go anywhere. We are discussing today about the H-1B second lottery for the fiscal year 2025, everything under it, only on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show with me, Napasa Pradhan.
An IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com. Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Very good to have you join me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Thank you so much, friends. And today we are discussing about H-1B second lottery for the fiscal year 2025. What does it really mean for the applicants out there, and what are the next steps that can be taken with none other than our guest for today? Justin Rivera. Yes, he recently joined Wasden Law, and he is bringing his extensive experience and dedication to help people achieve the American dream for sure. And he's been in immigration law for 8 years or so for and counting. So very nice to have you with us today, Justin. Really.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So should we continue then with the questions from the audience? I think we should. We have a lot to cover. So let's take this up from Rajat on YouTube. I found out that my name was selected in the first H-1B lottery and my employer submitted the petition before June 30th. Could you please tell me how long does the entire H-1B process take without using premium processing?
When you file premium processing, obviously it's going to be a more delayed circumstance. The reason for that obviously being because when you file in premium processing, you get that 15-day guarantee, which means that USCIS needs to adjudicate or make a decision on your case within 15 business days after the case. Necessarily, it can sometimes be a request for evidence, but essentially, when it comes to regular processing, that's going to be dictated by the service center that you filed at. So the service center is going to be determined based on what was on the selection notice, and that's going to be where your case is going to be filed, where your case has been filed. So after your case has been filed and receipted, what I would recommend doing is looking at USCIS's website for their processing times and looking at the processing time, the visa filed, and the service center location. Idea of what your timeline is going to be. I would say somebody whose case was filed by June 30th should definitely have a receipt number by now. So your receipt number is going the number that's on the receipt notice up in the corner. That's going to be kind of your ID tag for your case. And something you can go to USCIS's website to check your case status at any time. What that'll do is let you know where USCIS is on your case. Now, is it exact? No, not really. That's just the truth. It kind of depends on the officer that's legitimately update the USCIS website as they work through the case. Others can take a couple days for information to be updated. So I'll give you an example from when I've been practicing. I've actually seen situations where I received the approval notice from USCIS on a updated my USCIS website. But outside of those, hopefully a fairly accurate way for you to track the status of it. So I would say look at where your case was filed, try to take a look at the processing times to make kind of a guesstimate as to when you can expect your case to be processed. And then if you do want to get updates specifically on your case, you can use USCIS's case status website. That tool will allow you to look at that information. So you'll be able to check if your case has been approved or if a request for additional evidence was issued.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rajat. I hope you got your answer. And thank you so much, Justin, for taking that up. Moving on now, let's quickly take up another question from the audience. I think this one should be from Nageswar. I'd love to get a clearer understanding of the selection process for the second lottery. Are there specific criteria or priorities that USCIS will consider when selecting petitions? Oh, it's a long one. Assuming I am selected in the second lottery, what are the next steps I need to take or should be aware of? And what are the typical timeline for adjudication and approval? And are there any potential roadblocks or delays that I should be aware of?
This kind of backs into the previous question in terms of time. You guys understanding is that you can have regular premium processing. So your premium processing, it costs more money, but it gives you that 15-day guarantee essentially for adjudication. Doesn't mean you're going to get an approval in 15 days, but it means that USCIS will take action on your case. Regular processing is going to be longer and it's going to be service. That's going to be kind of determined based on with that service center, how long their adjudicated timeframes are. Now, I do understand that USCIS alleges that they attempt to prioritize H-1B CAT petitions when they're going through their adjudicative process. I have also seen instances where USCIS will have a service center that is overloaded and they will transfer cases to another service center that's maybe more easily able to accommodate the flux of CAP cases. Options. Again, though, premium 15 days, regular processing, much broader window. I cannot give you a specific timeline. Again, you would need to look at actually what's being done at that service center. You do always have the option, though, of filing in regular processing and then later upgrading to premium processing. So that is something, depending on what type of scenario, try and wait and see if it's possible, if you file early in regular processing, that you can get a quicker adjudication because they haven't been flooded with these new cases. So that would definitely be something that you could try to pursue. In the alternative, you can just file at the outset in premium. Now, getting into kind of just the generalities of filing the H-1B, you have your window, the 8/8 to 11/7 or 11/8 filing window. Clearly, you have to file within that time period. What is it that you need to file the H-1B? You have to have an LCA, a labor condition application. That is required, and that has to be certified. And the certification time frame for that is 7 days. So I would definitely say somebody who's selected or been notified of their selection, they need to file the LCA if it hasn't already been filed as quickly as possible. Get that done because that is an absolute. If you're getting into situations where you're having trouble procuring some level of documentation, that stuff can be worked out at the end. And if gosh forbid, you have to file without something, you can file without something and you can deal with the request for evidence that comes. And then hopefully you have that information at that time. The LCA is non-negotiable. You need to have the LCA. So my first step would be condition application needs to be filed and all the conditions post handled by your employer. The other thing that I would say from the employee standpoint is you need to, if you're filing a change of status, you need to make sure that you have your immigration record in full. So what does that necessarily mean? It's going to depend on what status you're on presently, but let's say, to make it as simple as possible, let's say you're I-94, obviously showing that you were recently, or upon your most recent entry, you were lawfully admitted into the United States. You're going to need copies of all of your I-20s. You're going to need copies of your visas. If you are working, you're going to need to submit copies of your EADs, your employment authorization documents, to show that you're eligible to work in the United States. You're going to need really hoping that you're filing with the same passport that you registered with. If you are not, that's going to create additional caveats that you're going to have to talk to your attorney about. But you're going to need that passport as well. Basically, you're going to need a full record of your immigration history when you are filing. And if you're saying, okay, well, what happens if I don't? What if I file, maybe without my EADs? Or what if I file without some of my I-20s? Because my case filed. But you're going to run the risk of a request for evidence from USCIS. And a request for evidence is going to slow down the adjudication of your case, and it's going to give USCIS an opportunity to look further in your application. So my understanding of how cases are typically reviewed by the officers is they're usually going through a checklist. They're looking for X, Y, and Z. And if Y is missing, then that's the thing they check off to the side and say, we need. That opens the door. Not only are you possibly looking at a situation now where they're going to issue an RFE, maybe related to your maintenance of status, but you could see them, as a result, maybe look into other issues like whether or not the position qualifies as a specialty occupation, or whether your degree is related to the position. So I would definitely say, from the employee's standpoint, the beneficiary standpoint, I would make sure that your company has done their job, that they've filed the LCA, and that they're in the process of putting together what they need to put together, an offer letter and things of that nature, if it hasn't already been taken care of. And then from your standpoint, if you're filing a change of status, get all of your documents, your immigration documents together, make sure that those are submitted to your immigration attorney so that they can perform their initial review and let you know if there's anything else that needs to be provided prior to filing. If you're filing consular processing, different ball game. You don't really have to provide any of that stuff. So it's a little less intensive for the employee. But I think a lot of times, if you're here in the U.S., you're going to be filing change of status, and to do so, you're going to need all those docs.
Thank you so much, Justin. You really put that very well. And there you go. You kind of have a checklist and you don't want to miss out on any document that is related to your immigration. Whatever history you have, whatever documents you have them in an order, properly in a file. And I'm sure everything is going to be smoother for you. I mean, whatever is necessary, take them, do them, and rightly at the first go itself. Right. Let's move on now to comments. This one is on Facebook. This is from Shania. So persons with masters outside the US is eligible? That's the question.
Yes. 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 Everyone is eligible. Everyone has the same level of eligibility. Again, there is just no benefit to anybody that had previously applied under the advanced degree cap. That cap has been filled. And they are not taking any additional cases for it. So yes, it's a completely level playing field. Everyone's going to have that same equal opportunity for selection. So just, regardless of your degree, as long as you met that qualification requirement when you registered, you have an opportunity to be selected.
Absolutely. All the best, Shania. Moving on to Anita. Anita, hi. Are all selections done and sent?
We do not know, unfortunately. We are not know. We are supposed to receive notice from USCIS when they have completed the second round of the lottery, which includes informing the employers, the petitioners, of the selections, which will be done through my USCIS. And my understanding is that is currently ongoing. So unless during the fall that we've missed, saying that the selection process is done, notified, and it is still ongoing. As we kind of touched on previously, if you want to speculate and say how long is it going to be before this new period ends and everyone's been notified, there's two things to look at. One, the previous lottery. The first lottery that was run. Selections came in, I believe, starting around Wednesday or Thursday of the week, and they ran through the weekend and concluded early the next week. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is the filing window for cases that have so far been selected. It appears that the start date is August 8th. So if you take that information in Congress, you take it together, the previous lottery along with the selection notices, it leads itself to reasonably conclude that at the everyone's probably going to be notified by August 8th. It's possible that it concludes beforehand. This is, again, speculative. But to give you the clearest answer I can give you, we don't know yet, and everything I'm saying is speculation.
Thank you so much, Justin. And folks, I'll just say you should definitely subscribe to us. We are Immigration and Jobs Talk Show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And don't forget to hit the bell icon because we keep having these updates and discussions also, and we'll bring you the latest updates on this as well. All right. And also, folks, don't forget to follow Wasden Immigration Litigation LinkedIn page for more immigration updates. Thank you. All right. Moving on to Chavez. What does second lottery mean for those who are selected in the first lottery for this year and their petitions are still under review?
My understanding would be that the whole purpose of the second lottery was the anticipation from USCIS that there wasn't sufficient number of cases that had been submitted to satisfy the cap. So I would definitely not form the conclusion that because your case in the first lottery was not adjudicated, you can anticipate a denial. I don't think USCIS would bake that idea into their analysis. It's much more likely that the purpose of this was because they merely looked at what they had left to adjudicate and sufficient to meet the necessary cap. So if you're somebody whose case is still pending in the first round, don't worry about it. Don't be scared that there was a second lottery. I don't believe that it had any impact on you whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's move on now. This next one is from Tarun on YouTube asking, how many days would it take to understand if they have completed the second round of the employer if the employer does not tell us?
Unfortunately, you are at the mercy of the petitioner. You're at the mercy of your employer. It's your employer who controls the registration. They registered the individual, they paid the $10 registration fee, and it's their My USCIS account that is going to be updated. So it would be incumbent on the employer to notify the employee when the selection has occurred. Now, if the employer worked with an attorney, they may have that process, or they're going to be doing it themselves. Now, this is based on how the employer operates, the size of the employer, and the level of experience they have going through the process, the H-1B process. I can say, having been involved in this process a couple times in the past, there are definitely employers who they're going to notify people once they're selected. That's typically going to be small companies have as large an employee kind of doing it as it comes in. Maybe they have someone assigned to do it. Maybe they have an attorney do it. On the other hand, a lot of times what you have is a petitioner who waits for the selection process to conclude, because what they want to do is they want to notify everybody at the same time. Because, you guys are employees, you talk. If person X is selected, they may say, what? Employees Y and Z want or not they were picked. So what that does is it kind of gives the employer a justification to say, let's hold on. Let's wait till everybody's been picked. And once they let us know that it's done, we'll let you all know at the same time. So that's going to be typically how, in my experience, that's how most employers handle the process. So if that's the case, with your employer, probably the timeline you're looking at. And then if you're with maybe a smaller employer like a startup or little company, 25 to 50 employees, something like that, you might be looking at getting notified faster. It's going to depend on your employer type, but I would say just hold tight until you receive a USCIS that the lodge will. I would say wait until then your employer to see if your case was selected, because there's really no benefit to doing it beforehand.
True. So we'll all get to know at the same time, but till then we need to be patient and hope for the best. Now, this next question, let's take up. Tarun, I hope that was clear. If not, then you could always ask again if you want to. And this is from Vishnu. Vishnu is asking on YouTube, I am started working for an XYZ company in 2021 and 22 in USA, and later took an intra-company transfer in 2022 up until now. Should I add 2 experiences describing India, US, or single experience in the DS 160?
Okay. So correctly, you were working in let's say you were a developer, and then you later moved to another position where, let's say, you're a senior developer, and you're asking on the DS 160, should I explain each position or should I group the positions together? I think that's my understanding question. And
I
Just
see.
speaking, I would flesh it out. I would make a statement about each specific position that you held. That's definitely one way that you can do it in the DS 160. So you would delineate the timeline on position A and then delineate the timeline on position B and explain that they're within the same company. Now, what you can also do in the DS 160, I've seen, having personally helped fill them out for lots of employees, is what I've done is I've also kind of grouped it in a way where I've said, okay, I've been in the United States 21 to present. And then in that time underneath where you explain what you did, what was the duties. And in that section, I've also,
Yes.
I held position A and I did these duties. I held position B and I did these duties. So I think that
Makes sense.
you're in a situation where you're okay to do that. Really, what the whole point is in that DS 160 is ensuring that the information provided is accurate. You're not making any assertions that could be interpreted as a misrepresentation. So, what would be an example of that? That would be maybe a situation where you said, on my last H-1B, I was the director of operations for a company, and you were actually a developer. That's not true. So obviously, that's not the kind of information that you want to convey when you're filling out the DS1. When you're really getting into the nuances of how you're filling it out, I think as long as you're providing accurate, that can be confirmed by your employer, then you're fine. I wouldn't really get too hung up about the specifics of how you convey that information, as long as it is all properly conveyed.
Absolutely. I think that's the word. I mean, accurately conveying your information. And if you need guidance, we definitely have experts and attorneys, and you should definitely consult one because every case is different. And also, don't forget to
Mhm.
contact Justin Rivera, Boston Immigration Litigation. His contact information is scrolling on the screen. Meanwhile, let's take up another question from the audience. This is Madhuben. Hello, still the selections are coming in, or are they completed to notify because it shows still submitted? So, once again, the same question. Thank you so much, Madhuben. We've already taken this up, but do you still want to just quickly maybe answer that in a sentence?
Answering it because I'm sure there's been connection issues that have created difficulties with
Yes.
being able to hear the responses. I have no problem
Yes.
responding again. Yes, that's correct. It still be coming in. As of now, we have not received any confirmation from USCIS that they have concluded the process of notifying employers. So
Mhm.
until that notice is performed, until USCIS updates us that they have concluded the process, we should still anticipate receiving additional selections. To go into just a tiny bit of detail, times, speculating next week. We'll just have to wait and see what USCIS does and when they notify us.
Sure. So, folks, right now, they're still being updated, and we'll all get to know at the same time. We all need to just be a little patient and also stay hopeful because there is still time, to get to know what our situation and status can be for sure. Thank you so much, also, Justin, for being so patient and taking up each question very nicely. But I think since we have a little more time, if you could just wrap up and give out an end note. So far, so good. Like, I mean, with all the information we have, since, I mean, the questions we're getting from the audience is mostly almost the same in different in different words, maybe. But I think getting to know it from you, what the folks out there need to know would be best.
It's understandable that the questions are the same because a lot of people a few days ago were done and had no opportunity to be
Exactly.
selected in the lottery for this year. So it makes complete sense. When am I going to know? How when can I file? That these are all questions. To kind of put a button on this, if in or the hearing, there is a second lottery. It's being commenced. Employers are being, as of now, do not have your timeline on when the selection process will conclude. USCIS will be providing that information. Very likely, it'll be letting everyone know that the process is notified. What does it mean for you as an employee? Give an opportunity or case selected, and quick beat. How will that happen? Updated, showing that your case now, when that process concludes, the filing going to open up. The filing windows go to either number 8th. So it's going to be a 90-day time frame for the first lottery. You have to submit to USCIS. And then outside of that, I would just say, best of luck. Best results, hopeful days. And if you have questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to Wasden Law. We're waiting for the immigration needs you may have.
Absolutely. Very well put. Thank you so much for that brief summary and all that we covered today, folks. If you have any further questions, I mean, if you're even watching this after the stream has ended, you can comment your questions because we still have our experts and we can always get in touch with Justin to get more answers to you for sure. But even better, I would say, don't forget to also follow Wasden Immigration Litigation LinkedIn page for more immigration updates. And of course, our channel as well, Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and also follow us on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Connect with us. It'll be really nice to have you. Thank you so much, Justin, for being so patient and for covering with us this very exciting and latest topic. Where everyone had this question, firstly about whether we're going to have a second lottery. We kept having this question in almost every webinar we had on our channel, and now that we have it, it's here finally, folks. So, all the very best, really. And I'm glad we could do this. Though there was some connectivity issues, but I still hope that the messages were clear. And even if not, like I said earlier, feel free to drop your questions. All right. But Justin, I mean, I really hope that you can join us once again, maybe with another topic very soon. Maybe have another webinar with us. It'll be great to have you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Justin. You have a great day ahead, folks. Don't forget to contact Justin. So sorry, there was a lag. Again, if you could repeat that.
No, I was just saying, thank you very much. Would love to be on again. We'll fix the connectivity issues. Make sure that's not an issue going forward.
For sure. Thank you so much for doing that. Yes. Have a great day ahead, Justin. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I would say you can contact Justin. Yes, his. You can definitely go check out and follow Wasden Immigration Litigation LinkedIn page for more immigration updates, and contact Justin Rivera, Wasden Immigration Litigation. His number is 844-592-7336. Note it down, and you can even email him support@wasden.law, and also check out their website wasden.law to get to know more about Wasden Law and also about Justin Rivera. And also me, friends, you can contact me in case you're looking out for placements, project placements, EADs, and maybe green cards, even anything related to immigration. Please feel free to contact us. My number is 408-335-6444. And my email address is nipa@highrightypeople.com. And to get to know more about us, don't forget to visit us at www.highrightypeople.com. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Happy Friday, happy weekend ahead, and see you very soon here on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show with more updates on immigration and jobs.